Welcome back. This is Algebra 2, Lesson 4.7, video number 2. If you haven't watched video 1, you need to go back and watch it or you're going to be really confused. All right. Example 5, the area of the rectangle shown is 72 square units. What is the value of x? Okay. Well, we're going to use the formula for the area of a rectangle to write an equation. So length times width equals the area. So look back at here. We can see that one of our dimensions is 3x. One of them is x plus 2. So 3x times x plus 2 is going to equal the area of 72. And we're going to distribute the 3x. And we get 3x squared plus 6x equals 72. We have a coefficient other than 1 in front of our x squared term, so we're going to divide both sides by that value. So we're going to divide everything we see by 3. So we get x squared plus 2x equals 24. So now we need to find our value that needs to be added to both sides. Remember, it's b over 2 squared. b is 2, so it's 2 over 2 squared. So 1 squared is 1. So we're going to add 1 to both sides. And so we get x squared plus 2x plus 1 equals 24 plus 1. We're going to write the left side as a binomial squared. So it's going to be x plus whatever we squared right here. So x plus 1 squared equals 25. And then we take the square root of both sides, remembering to do plus or minus on the side with just the plain number. So we're going to get x plus 1 equals plus or minus 5 because the square root of 25 is 5. We subtract 1, and so we get x equals negative 1 plus or minus 5. Now, let's look at the two values that comes out to be. X equals negative 1 plus 5 equals 4, or x equals negative 1 minus 5 equals negative 6. Now, remember, we're not just finding values for x, they actually represent the length of sides. We need to reject x equals negative 6 because the side lengths would be negative 18 and negative 4, and side lengths cannot be negative. So the only value that will work is 4. So the value for x is 4 and only 4, so the correct answer is B. Okay, another use is to write quadratic functions in vertex form when they are given to you in standard form, and that can be done by completing the square. So it's another use for completing the square. Remember, vertex form is y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. So we're going to write y equals x squared minus 10x plus 22 in vertex form, and then we're going to identify the vertex. So we write the original function, and we're going to prepare to complete the square. And the way that we do that is on the left-hand side, remember, you've got to add whatever you add to one side, you have to add to the other. So we're going to prepare to add our special value on the left. I like to put in a blank. So y plus blank is going to equal, and then we're going to do our squared term and our linear term together in parentheses. We're going to have x squared minus 10x plus blank. We're going to kick the 22 out of the parentheses because eventually that's going to be what k is out there to the side. So we're going to kick it over to the side. All right, to figure out what goes in the blank, we just do our b over 2 squared. So negative 10 over 2 squared is negative 5, the whole thing squared, which is 25. So we're going to add 25 to both sides in our blanks. So we get y plus 25 equals x squared minus 10x plus 25 plus 22. We're going to write x squared minus 10x plus 25 as a binomial squared, so it's going to be x and then minus 5, because that's what's being squared here, quantity squared. So we've got y plus 25 equals x minus 5, quantity squared, plus 22. We're almost in y equals a times x minus h squared plus k form. The only thing is that we still have a number over here with y. We need to solve for the y. So we're going to subtract 25 from both sides. And we get y equals x minus 5 squared minus 3. That's vertex form. We can also tell that h is 5 and k is negative 3. So the vertex form of the function is y equals x minus 5 squared minus 3, and the vertex is 5, negative 3. Because remember, it's a so a is 1, times x minus h, so the minus is part of the form here, plus k. So minus 3 is the same thing as plus negative 3, so k is negative 3. All right, our last example, we're going to do a baseball example. The height y in feet of a baseball t seconds after it is hit is given by this function. Y equals negative 16t squared plus 96t plus 3. Find the maximum height of the baseball. Okay, well, the maximum height of the baseball is going to be the y value of the vertex. So if we put this function in vertex form, we'll be able to read that y value of the vertex because that's just k. So we want to find k. So the maximum height of the baseball is the y-coordinate of the vertex of the parabola with the given equation. And so again, that's the value of k. So we are going to do this by completing this square. So we have y equals negative 16t squared plus 96t plus 3. All right, here's the deal. Previously, if we had a value other than 1 in front of the squared term there, we would divide both sides by that value. But then that's going to give us y divided by negative 16. Okay, so when we have it in function form, that's not going to be what we want to do. We're going to have to account for it another way. So what we do is we go ahead and kick out the 3. It's not going to be part of what we factor out of. We're just going to factor whatever our coefficient of the squared term is, we're going to factor it out of the first 2 terms. And so you're going to have y equals negative 16 times negative 16t squared divided by negative 16 is t squared. 96t divided by negative 16 is negative 6t. Okay, and then the plus 3 is over here by itself, which is fine. We were going to kick it out by itself anyway. That's what we do when we work with completing the square in function form. We kick out whatever the original constant is over by itself. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to figure out what we need to add to both sides. So we're going to prepare to complete the square. Now, notice over here we have negative 16 times our blank. Why on earth are we doing that? Well, when we find our term to fill in the blank here on the right-hand side, we're not just adding whatever that value is going to be, we're adding negative 16 times that value. So when we add to the left, we've got to add negative 16 times that value so that we're adding the same amount. Okay, so let's look. Let's figure out what value we need. It says add negative 16 times 9 to each side. Well, where are they getting the 9? Well, the 9 is the negative 6 over 2 squared, which is negative 3 squared. And so we're going to fill in 9 in this blank, and we're going to fill in 9 in this blank. So on this side, we will be adding negative 16 times 9, and on this side, we'll be adding negative 16 times 9. Okay, so we're filling in the blank with the 9 because that's our b over 2 squared. Okay, so we want to write t squared minus 16, minus 6t, not 16, minus 6t plus 9 as a binomial squared. All right, so that's going to be t and then minus 3 because you have a minus 3 inside this little parentheses right here. That's what we squared. So we've got t minus 3 squared. We still have the negative 16 over here. We have the plus 3 over here with the y. We've got negative 16 times 9, which is negative 144. So we have y minus 144 equals negative 16 times t minus 3 squared plus 3. And we're going to add 144 to both sides. And so we get y equals negative 16 times t minus 3 quantity squared plus 147. All right, so it's in vertex form. So I can tell that A is negative 16, I can tell that H is 3, and I can tell that K is 147. K is what we were after. So since the vertex is 3, 147, the maximum height of the baseball is 147 feet. Okay, guys, you have a few problems to try on your own. Thanks again to Hope McDougall and Larson I do use Larson's Algebra 2 book, and Hope McDougall makes a lot of these slides available, and then I edit them and add some things, and then I put together a video. So thank you so much to them for having such great resources available to teachers. I will see you guys next time in class.